Hello, fellow students. This is Pauline Scott, and you are listening to my presentation. And the topic is women's stress in regards to household labor divisions. This voice thread will cover this topic as it is near and dear to my heart for two reasons. The first being that I myself am a wife, mother, worker, grad student, and doting dog mom. I also am collecting and reviewing research in regards to women and their use of alcohol. One of the reasons that I wanted to look at this specific topic is to examine a part of women's daily stress. So I hope you enjoy my presentation, and here we go.
Hi, Pauline. This is Katie. I just wanted to say that I also identified with your topic as well, being a woman and living in a household. There were a few things I enjoyed about your presentation. I enjoyed that you stated the disclaimer, acknowledging that a lot of the information was about hetero intact marriages. I enjoyed the definitions of terms, and I also enjoyed your implications for future research as a practicing public health worker. Those I found very valuable. I as a woman in the household, like I said, I knew and noticed some of the staggering differences, but I didn't know how much. So I really enjoyed your fact reporting. It put the work that you were doing in perspective. The only thing that I would comment on in your presentation is it seems like in your seventh or sixth slide you use the word equable and equal interchangeably. Equity and equality are not the same. They actually have huge different implications. So I would just refine your use of what term you're going to be using. But other than that, really great presentation.
Here we have a brief overview of what we are going to be discussing in this voice thread. Firstly, I'm going to give you some definitions regarding household labor, the division of household labor, and also something called mental load, which is a bit of a jargon phrase. Then we're going to move on to what the research says about the division of household labor in two-parent homes and the stress effects on women of this division. Then I would like to discuss any future research considerations that were necessary in regards to this subject. A brief disclaimer: most of the research that I found had to deal with heteronormative couples with each parent working full time. And from what I could see, this research was done on intact marriages. Here are some brief definitions. The first one being on actual household labor. This is unpaid management and operational guides of the organizational daily tasks within the home. the division of tasks, how they're actually split between men and women, and then the mental load or emotional labor of household labor. This is the management, so planning, preparation, strategizing, that sort of thing, and who that actually belongs to. Moving into the research portion of my voice thread, here we have a slide on the division of labor. As far as household labor goes, women contribute 80%. This is even though men and women have about the same amount of education, meaning degree completion from college, and labor force participation is at about just 50%. So this is with men and women having the same amount of education and the same amount of participation within the labor force. The gender and social norms continue this trend, seeing that women are entering the workforce at the same rate as men. Also, men, as far as household labor goes, are satisfied when they are doing less than half the work and they feel that it is a decent contribution. Hi, Joanna. Thank you for your comment and your question. Yes, and no. When men, when a child is introduced into the marriage, men do experience stress, but not in the same way that women do, as in, like, they think they're contributing more, but they're not. Also, in when men contribute to the household labor, they are satisfied, and the sad thing is that women are usually satisfied with whatever kind of effort they see their men put forth. So even if it's like a slight increase, the women's happiness goes up. Whereas when it's I don't even think there is research on a 50-50 because it doesn't exist. Men don't experience the mental load that women do. And this goes back way far into conditioning as children. So if you think back to preschool, where girls are playing house and boys are playing some kind of very individualistic competitive game between, two boys or something like that. Whereas, a girl is being taught, unbeknownst to her, that it's okay to be the house manager and figure out whose everybody roles are and how things are going to go. So it goes back way far, that mental load kind of training. So unless we start teaching little boys, how to think about making dinner when you're actually serving breakfast, we're going to be a bit behind. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Here we have just a visual of those household labor divisions. As you can see, it states that women spend 2 hours a day on household activities, whereas men spend 1 hour and 25 minutes. I got this chart from the Labor Statistics Bureau. It was made in 2015. Stress effects of women as far as division of household labor goes. Evidence links more equitable divisions of housework with higher levels of happiness. That is for both men and women. And once you add a child to the mix, women prefer or would prefer a more balanced and equal share of housework than men. When there are unequal distributions of housework, that can contribute to poor mental health and also can lead to marital dissolution because it does leak into other areas of dissatisfaction within a couple. There's also the lack of social recognition for all the household and family work proved to be a relevant source of psychosocial stress. So this is where that mental load comes into play a lot more. Here we have a bit more information regarding the stress levels of women and what is recommended to kind of control that stress, and how women are expected to be committed to their job and intensely engaged with their children. This also goes into talking about the emotional labor that is generally dismissed and not labeled as work, but all the research shows that it can be just as exhausting as paid work. The idea of marriage being bad for women and good for men has rarely been questioned. Considered acceptance of gender differences may help with marital status and marital quality, also with gender inequality. Here we have a slide about future research considerations. Obviously, I would like to research into the LGBTQI partnerships and also mark the gender differences for members of different ethnic racial groups. Also, what the work family tensions and gendered responsibilities are specifically, and how satisfaction can be brought about within those responsibilities for men and women. Hi, Ibram. That's an interesting point you brought up because there is a lot of research done on men actually doing housework poorly as a tactic to get out of it in the future. And guess what? It works. So if they do it on purpose, they'll do it poorly so that they are not asked to do it again. And generally, that works for everyone. So I hope that answers your question. Also, in regards to that, going back to your other question, would it cause more stress if men contributed to the household labor? I guess I just answered that question for you. So it does bring about more stress because then you have more, you've added more to the mental load of the mother because now she's got to figure out, like, how do I tell him that he did a poor job and do it all over again? I'm sure that you've seen this tactic. You mentioned your father doing dishes badly, so he probably used that tactic on your mom. Yeah, so thanks for your question. I hope I answered it. In conclusion, even though the gendered gaps are closing, I feel that they could be closed a bit quicker, especially in this regard, as we can really start to look at what the household division of labor is and spread those out a bit more equally. And then this is mainly due to the fact that women carry as much fiscal and timely commitments and responsibility towards the family structure as men do. Then I have the great Gloria Steinem with a brief quote that I thought was fitting. I hope you guys enjoyed my voice thread, and thank you so much.